branded an ugly college dropout and disowned by my family. 5 years later, I met them at my sister's graduation party. Her professor asked, "You know her?" I replied, "You have no idea." They had no clue who I was until. "You're nothing but an ugly college dropout. Don't you dare show your face at this family again." Can you imagine hearing those words from your own mother? Because I heard them 5 years ago, standing on my childhood porch, suitcase at my feet, watching my younger sister Cassandra laugh inside with our parents. That was the day they threw me out, and that was just the beginning. My name is Athena, and I was 22 then. I'm 27 now. For years, I was the family embarrassment, the one who just couldn't measure up. Too plain, too ordinary, too much of a failure to ever deserve their love. Cassandra, on the other hand? She was everything I wasn't. Beautiful, brilliant, driven, their golden child. Growing up, I learned quickly that love in our family was a performance. My parents, successful business owners, demanded perfection. Cassandra delivered. I did not. Everything shattered during my 3rd year of college. I was studying graphic design, and I loved it. Bringing ideas to life, creating art, it was my passion. But my parents hated it. They wanted law or business, something prestigious they could brag about. "Graphic design is for people who can't do real work," my father sneered. "You're wasting our money on this nonsense." My mother was worse. Every call, every visit, was a painful comparison to Cassandra, who was already on her way to medical school. "Your sister's going to be a doctor. What are you going to be? Someone who makes pretty pictures?" The criticism gnawed at me. Every word chipped away at my self-worth. When I started struggling with depression and anxiety, they told me to stop being dramatic. When my grades slipped, they threatened to cut me off. I tried to push through, I really did, but the pressure became suffocating. My mental health plummeted. I stopped going to class. I stopped eating. I stopped believing I was worth anything at all. Then, one particularly dark night, I made the only decision I felt I could. I left college. Not because I wanted to, but because I was breaking. When I told them, the explosion was immediate. My mother screamed for hours, calling me an embarrassment, telling me I was throwing my life away. My father looked at me with pure disgust and declared I was no longer his daughter. And Cassandra? She stood in the doorway, a smirk playing on her lips, enjoying every second. She always loved seeing me fall. They gave me 1 week to pack. No money, no place to go, no family to fall back on. I was completely, utterly alone, and I was terrified. I couch-surfed for months, waitressing, working retail, cleaning offices at night, anything to survive. I felt like I'd hit rock bottom. But something shifted in me during those brutal months. Maybe it was anger. Maybe desperation. Maybe just pure stubbornness. But I decided I wouldn't let them define me anymore. Their version of me? It wasn't my truth. I saved every single dollar. I taught myself advanced design software through free online tutorials. Every spare moment, I built a portfolio. I offered small businesses cheap logos and websites, just to get experience. And slowly, agonizingly slowly, I started to build something. It wasn't easy. There were nights I went to bed hungry because internet access was a higher priority than food. There were moments I wanted to give up, when that voice in my head, eerily like my mother's, told me I was foolish. But I kept going. And eventually, things started to change. My work improved. My clients grew. My rates soared. I went from couches to a tiny studio, then a one-bedroom. From freelancing to owning my own design agency. 5 years. 5 years of working myself to exhaustion, of proving everyone wrong, of becoming someone I could finally be proud of. I'd cut them all off, changed my number, moved across the city. I wanted nothing to do with them. Then, on a warm spring evening, a social media message popped up from an old high school friend. An invitation to Cassandra's graduation party. My sister was finally a doctor, and the family was throwing a massive celebration at an upscale downtown venue. It felt like a trap. Why would they want me there? But as I stared at that message, something inside me clicked. Maybe it was time to face them. Not as the broken, desperate girl they discarded, but as the woman I had become. I wrestled with it for a week. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to keep living my peaceful, successful life without them. I'd built all of this without their help, without their approval. Why look back? But another part of me, a deep, simmering part, wanted them to know I hadn't just survived, I'd thrived. The party was scheduled for Saturday. My parents, never ones to skimp, would throw a lavish event. They loved showing off their perfect lives, their perfect family. I decided to go. Not for their approval. Not for some tearful reunion. I went to look them in the eye as an equal. To show them exactly what they had thrown away. The days leading up to it were strange. Memories I'd buried resurfaced. Being 8, proudly showing a drawing my teacher had praised, only for my mother to tell me to do homework, my father not even looking up. Being 13, overhearing my mother tell her sister how I wasn't developing, like Cassandra, how I'd be the plain daughter, who'd better be smart. Being 16, winning a design competition, rushing home only for it to be overshadowed by Cassandra making the honor roll again. Every memory screamed the same message: I wasn't enough. I would never be enough for them. But now, sitting in my own apartment, paid for with my own work, surrounded by the success I'd built from nothing, I finally understood. Their opinion didn't matter. I had proven myself to the only person who counted, me. The evening arrived. I spent hours getting ready, not to impress them, but to feel my own power. A simple, elegant black dress I'd saved for. My makeup, my hair. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone strong staring back. A survivor. The venue was even more extravagant than I'd imagined. Crystal chandeliers, white flowers everywhere, a string quartet. My parents' signature over the top display. I arrived fashionably late, giving me a moment to observe. The room was packed with people from my childhood, family, friends, business associates. All dressed to impress, all there to celebrate Cassandra. My sister glowed in the center of the room, her hand on a handsome man's arm, beaming with pride, flanked by my beaming parents. A familiar tightness squeezed my chest. That was supposed to be me. I was supposed to be the one they were proud of. But I'd failed their expectations, and they'd discarded me like trash. I took a deep breath and stepped further in. Several people glanced my way, but no one recognized me. 5 years had changed me. The scared, depressed college dropout was gone. In her place stood someone who had learned to survive. I ordered a glass of wine at the bar. Then, a voice behind me. Athena, is that you? I turned to Professor Howard, my favorite teacher from college, one of the few who'd encouraged my design work. He looked older, grayer, but his kind eyes were the same. Professor Howard! I genuinely surprised. What are you doing here? He explained he now taught at the medical school. Cassandra was one of my students. Brilliant girl, very driven. He paused, studying my face. I heard you left school. I always wondered what happened. You had such talent. His words hit me. Here was someone who had believed in me, and I'd disappeared. I had some personal issues, I said carefully. But I'm doing well now. I own my own design agency. His face lit up. Really? That's wonderful. I always knew you had it in you. Your work was exceptional. We caught up for a few minutes. He seemed genuinely happy for me, which felt rare in this room. As he excused himself, I felt a mix of gratitude for his kindness and acute isolation in a crowd that was supposed to be my family. I drifted through the party like a ghost. People looked, but their eyes slid past me without recognition. I was 22, young and broken, when they last saw me. Now I was 27, polished and confident. They didn't see the connection. I found myself near the dessert table when I heard my mother's voice. She was talking to a group of women, all in designer clothes, all with that practiced smile. We're just so proud of Cassandra, my mother gushed. Medical school was challenging, but she never gave up. She's always been so determined, so focused, unlike some people. The last words hung in the air, clearly meant for me. Anger flared hot and sharp in my chest. Yes, we're very fortunate. My father chimed in, joining them. Both of our daughters have done so well. Cassandra is going to be a doctor, and our eldest is very successful in business. I froze. What was he talking about? They had disowned me. Told me I was nothing. And now they were lying to their friends, pretending everything was fine, pretending they were proud of me? One of the women asked. Oh, I didn't know you had another daughter. Where is she? I'd love to meet her. My mother's smile strained. She couldn't make it tonight. Work commitments. You know how it is. The lie was so casual, so practiced. How long had they been telling it? How many times had they pretended I was still part of their perfect family when they'd thrown me away like garbage? I wanted to march over there, expose them, scream the truth. But something stopped me. Self-preservation. Strategy. Or maybe I just wanted to see how deep their lies went before I revealed mine. I decided to observe, to gather intel. I moved around, listening to conversations. The narrative they'd constructed was clear. I was working abroad, too busy with my successful career to attend family events, always sending my regards. An elaborate fiction where I was still their accomplished daughter, just conveniently absent. It made me sick. They wanted the credit for raising two successful daughters without having to deal with the one they'd destroyed. As I processed this, Cassandra walked past me, heading towards her medical school friends. She glanced at me briefly, her eyes sliding over my face without a flicker of recognition. My own sister. Invisible. I followed at a distance, curious. Her friends congratulated her, talking about their futures. Your family must be so proud, one said. Cassandra laughed. They are. My parents have always been supportive. They push me to be my best. Another asked if she had siblings. I have an older sister, Cassandra said, her voice careful. But we're not close. She made some bad choices a few years ago, and we don't really talk anymore. Bad choices. That's how she described my breakdown, my depression, my struggle for survival. That's sad, her friend said. Cassandra shrugged. Some people just can't handle pressure. My parents did everything they could for her, but she threw it all away. She dropped out of college and basically disappeared. We have no idea what she's doing now. The casual cruelty of her words stung more than I expected. She talked about me like a stranger, like my struggles meant nothing, like their years of emotional abuse were my fault. I wanted to confront her right then, shove my success in her face. But I held back. The evening was still young. I moved away, finding a quieter corner. Professor Howard reappeared, this time with a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. Athena, he said warmly, I want you to meet Dr. Gregory, the dean of the medical school. I was just telling him about your design agency. Dr. Gregory extended his hand. Pleasure to meet you. Professor Howard speaks very highly of your work. Thank you, I said, surprised by Howard's advocacy. Actually, Dr. Gregory continued, we've been looking for someone to redesign our medical school's website and branding. Would you be interested in discussing a potential contract? My heart leaped. This was a major opportunity, the kind that could elevate my agency, and it was happening here, at my sister's party, while my family pretended I didn't exist. I would be very interested, I managed, keeping my voice professional. We exchanged information, and he promised to call next week. As he left, Professor Howard smiled. Opportunities come when we least expect them, he said. My mind was spinning. This night had taken an unexpected turn. After they left, I stepped onto the terrace. I needed air. The cool night breeze felt good against my flushed skin as I leaned against the railing, trying to calm the storm of emotions swirling inside me. Anger, satisfaction, confusion, vindication. Footsteps. An older woman, Helen, perfectly styled gray hair, elegant blue dress. Needed a break from the crowd? she asked warmly. Something like that, I replied. I'm Helen. I'm a colleague of Cassandra's father. We've worked together for years. My father's colleague. I kept my expression neutral. Nice to meet you. You look familiar, Helen said, studying my face. Have we met? I don't think so. She tilted her head. No, I'm certain. Maybe in photos? Her eyes widened slightly. Oh my goodness! Are you Athena? My stomach dropped. So, someone did recognize me. Yes, I said quietly. Helen's face transformed with genuine warmth. I've heard so much about you. Your parents mentioned you're doing very well in business. They said you're working overseas, but I'm so glad you could make it tonight. Cassandra must be thrilled to have her sister here. The lies were even more elaborate than I thought. I didn't correct her. Your father showed me some photos of your work last month, Helen went on. Beautiful designs. He was so proud. He keeps a portfolio of your projects in his office. This was too much. My father? The man who called my career worthless, who disowned me for pursuing it, kept a portfolio of my work? That's surprising, I said, unable to hide the edge in my voice. Helen didn't seem to notice. Oh, he talks about you all the time. Both his daughters are so accomplished. You must have wonderful parents to have raised such successful children. I felt sick. They were taking credit for my success I'd built entirely without them, after they abandoned me. They were using my accomplishments to bolster their reputation, while simultaneously pretending I was too busy to attend family events. Excuse me, I said abruptly. I need to find the restroom. I left Helen and went back inside, my hands shaking with rage. I needed to confront them. Expose their lies. Right now. In front of everyone. But as I looked around, seeing my parents surrounded by admirers, Cassandra glowing, their perfect picture, I realized a public confrontation would make me look bitter, petty, the problem child they'd always claimed I was. I needed to be smarter. I needed proof. A way to expose them that couldn't be dismissed. I pulled out my phone and started recording voice memos, documenting everything, the lies people were telling me, my family's elaborate fiction. As I did this, Cassandra broke away from her group and headed towards a hallway. I followed, keeping my distance. She entered a small conference room. I waited, then pushed the door open slightly. Cassandra was on the phone, her back to me. I know, Mom, she was saying. I'm handling it. No one has asked about her specifically. Everyone believes the story about her working overseas. She paused, listening. What if she shows up? Mom, she doesn't know about the party. We didn't invite her. Even if she found out, she wouldn't have the guts to come back after 5 years. My heart pounded. They were actively discussing keeping me away. This wasn't just casual lying. They deliberately planned my exclusion and then lied about it. The trust fund, Cassandra continued. Yes, I spoke to the lawyer last week. Since she's been out of contact for so long, and there's documentation of her dropping out and cutting ties, we should be able to claim her portion was forfeited. It'll take some time, but he's confident we can make it work. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My grandmother had set up trust funds for both of us. I'd never thought about it, too focused on survival. But they had. They weren't just taking credit for my success. They were actively trying to steal money that was rightfully mine. Cassandra laughed at something my mother said. Don't worry, she made her choice when she dropped out. She chose to throw her life away. That money is better off with someone who actually did something with their education. Someone who made you proud. She chose to throw her life away. As if my mental breakdown had been a choice. As if their years of emotional abuse had nothing to do with it. As if I'd wanted to struggle and suffer. I backed away before Cassandra could see me, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. But I had it. The entire conversation. Proof. Proof of their lies, their manipulation, their plans to steal from me. I walked back to the main hall in a daze. Everything I thought about this evening had shifted. This wasn't just about them being embarrassed by my dropout status. This was about money. About rewriting history to claim my inheritance and maintain their perfect image. I needed to talk to someone. I pulled out my phone and texted my business partner, Jordan. He was the only one who knew the full story. Need legal help. Family trying to steal inheritance. Have recording of admission. What do I do? His response was immediate. Do not confront them yet. Leave the party. Meet me at the office tomorrow morning. Bring everything you have. We'll handle this properly. He was right. I needed to be strategic. But leaving now felt impossible. I had come here to face them, and I wasn't running away again. I steadied myself and walked back into the heart of the party. The evening was reaching its peak. My father was preparing to give a speech. I positioned myself where I could see everything but remain inconspicuous. My father climbed onto the stage, microphone in hand, his most charming smile plastered on his face. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to celebrate this momentous occasion. Today we honor my daughter, Cassandra, who has worked tirelessly to achieve her dream of becoming a doctor. The crowd applauded. Cassandra stood beside my mother, radiating happiness. As a father, my dad continued, there's nothing more rewarding than watching your children succeed. My wife and I have been blessed with two remarkable daughters, both intelligent, both driven, both determined to make their mark on the world. My jaw clenched. He was doing it again. Pretending. Cassandra has always been focused and dedicated. He went on. And tonight, as she celebrates her graduation from one of the finest medical schools in the country, we couldn't be prouder. More applause. I noticed Professor Howard and Dr. Gregory in the crowd, listening intently. Our other daughter, Athena, couldn't be here tonight due to work commitments overseas, my father said smoothly. But she sends her love and congratulations to her sister. Athena has built a successful design business and travels extensively for work. We're proud of both our girls and the women they've become. The ease with which he lied was sickening. He delivered these falsehoods with such conviction I almost believed him for a second. Family is everything, he concluded. And tonight we celebrate not just Cassandra's achievement, but the strength of family bonds that support us through life's challenges. To Cassandra! The crowd echoed, raising their glasses. I didn't. I just stood there, watching my father embrace my sister, my mother wiping, happy, tears, everyone celebrating this perfect family moment built on a foundation of lies. Professor Howard moved through the crowd and ended up near me again. Lovely speech, he commented. Though I'm surprised your sister couldn't make it. I didn't know you had a sibling until tonight. I looked at him carefully. He seemed genuinely confused. That's interesting, I said slowly. Because I am his other daughter. Professor Howard's eyes widened. He looked from me to my father, then back to me. I don't understand. He just said you were overseas. He lied, I said simply. I'm right here. I've been here all evening, and no one in my family has recognized me. Not since they disowned me 5 years ago for dropping out of college. The professor stared, processing. But he just said he was proud of you. He said you have a successful business. I do have a successful business, I clarified. He has no idea what I've been doing. They've been making up stories about me to save face with their friends. Professor Howard looked genuinely shocked. That's unconscionable. Why would they do that? Because they care more about their reputation than they do about me. I said, the words bitter but true. Before he could respond, Dr. Gregory joined us. Everything all right here? He asked, sensing the tension. Professor Howard looked at me, giving me the choice. I made a split-second decision. Dr. Gregory, I said, I need to be honest with you about something before we move forward with any business discussions. He looked intrigued. Go ahead. My full name is Athena, last name. My last name is the same as Cassandra's because she's my sister. I'm the daughter my father just mentioned in his speech. The one he said was overseas. Dr. Gregory's expression shifted from friendly interest to confusion. I don't follow. You're here. You're not overseas. Exactly, I said. My father lied. He's been lying to everyone here about me. The truth is, my parents disowned me 5 years ago when I dropped out of college due to mental health issues. They cut me off completely, told me never to contact them again, and pretended I didn't exist. Until recently. Apparently, when they decided to start telling people I'm successful and busy with work overseas. They're using my real success, which they know nothing about, to make themselves look like good parents. Dr. Gregory looked from me to the stage where my father was still basking in congratulations, then back to me. This is a serious accusation. It's not an accusation, I said. It's the truth. I pulled out my phone. I have a recording of my sister on the phone with my mother from earlier tonight. In it, they discuss how relieved they are that I didn't find out about the party and show up. They also discuss plans to steal my inheritance. Professor Howard's face had gone pale. Athena, this is terrible. I had no idea you'd been through such an ordeal. Most people don't, I said, because I've been focused on rebuilding my life rather than airing my family's dirty laundry. But I came here tonight because I wanted to see them again. I wanted to face them as someone who had succeeded despite them, not because of them. What I didn't expect was to discover they've been lying about me for years and plotting to steal money that belongs to me. Dr. Gregory was quiet for a long moment. Can you prove you are who you say you are? I pulled out my driver's license. My name, birth date, Nashville address. I believe you, he said finally. And I'm appalled by what you've shared. However, I need to think carefully about how to proceed with our business discussions. This puts me in an awkward position as your father is a respected colleague. My heart sank. Of course. Their reputation would win. It always did. But Professor Howard spoke up. Dr. Gregory, Athena's family situation has nothing to do with her professional capabilities. I taught her in college. Her work was exceptional then, and from what she's told me, she's only improved. Punishing her professionally because her family is dysfunctional would be grossly unfair. Dr. Gregory considered this. You're right. Of course. Personal matters shouldn't affect professional opportunities. Athena, I'll be in touch next week as planned. What your family has done is between you and them. Your work speaks for itself. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. My mother was heading our way, her face arranged in a welcoming smile, bringing someone with her. Dean Gregory, she called out. I wanted to introduce you to some of our closest family friends. She stopped short when her eyes landed on me. For a second, recognition, then confusion, then panic. Athena? She whispered, the color draining from her face. Hello, Mother, I said calmly. Lovely party, though I noticed I wasn't invited. My mother's mouth opened and closed. She looked at Dr. Gregory and Professor Howard, desperately trying to salvage the situation. What are you doing here? She finally managed, her voice tight. I was invited by a friend, I said. Though I've been here for over an hour now, and this is the first time anyone in my family has recognized me. Interesting, isn't it? My mother's eyes darted nervously. People nearby were starting to notice the tension. We should discuss this privately, she hissed, reaching for my arm. I stepped back, avoiding her touch. Why? I repeated loudly enough that several heads turned. You've been discussing me publicly all evening, telling everyone how proud you are of me, how successful I am, how I'm overseas working on my thriving business. Might as well keep it public, don't you think? You don't understand. My mother hissed, her pleasant facade cracking. We were trying to protect the family. Protect the family? I repeated, my voice rising. Is that what you call disowning your daughter? Abandoning her when she was struggling with her mental health? Kicking her out with nowhere to go? You made your choice when you dropped out, my mother said defensively. You threw away everything we gave you. What you gave me? I felt my anger explode. You gave me criticism, comparison, and conditional love. And when I couldn't handle the pressure anymore, You threw me away like I was nothing. My father appeared then, drawn by the commotion. When he saw me, his face went through the same progression as my mother's: recognition, confusion, panic. Athena, he said, his voice carefully controlled. This isn't the time or place for this discussion. Really? Because you seem to have plenty to say about me in your speech. I shot back. All those lies about how proud you are, about my successful overseas business, about family bonds and support. Should we tell everyone the truth, Dad? Should we tell them you haven't spoken to me in 5 years? That you told me I was no longer your daughter? People were definitely watching now. Conversations died down. I saw Cassandra pushing through the crowd, her face pale with alarm. Athena, please, my father said, trying to maintain his composure. You're making a scene. I'm making a scene? I laughed bitterly. You've been making up an entire fictional life for me. You've been using my real success, which you know nothing about, to make yourselves look like supportive parents, and now you're upset that I'm calling you out on it? Cassandra reached us, her eyes wide. What's going on? Your sister decided to show up uninvited and create drama at your graduation party. My mother said sharply. Just like her to try to ruin your special day. Uninvited? I turned to Cassandra. Funny thing about that. I overheard your phone conversation earlier. The one where you told Mom how relieved you were that I didn't know about the party and wouldn't show up. The one where you discussed stealing my inheritance? Cassandra's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone. I recorded it. Would you like me to play it for everyone here? Let them hear you and Mom plotting to claim I forfeited my trust fund. Let them hear you laugh about how I threw my life away. You're insane. Cassandra spat. You always were unstable and dramatic. I was struggling. I corrected her coldly. I was depressed and anxious and desperate for help. And instead of supporting me, you mocked me. All of you did. You made me feel worthless until I believed it myself. Professor Howard cleared his throat. I think everyone here needs to hear something. I taught Athena in college. She was one of the most talented students I've ever had. When she left school, I was devastated because I knew she had incredible potential, but I also knew she was struggling with something deeper than just academic stress. He looked directly at my parents. A good family would have helped her through that struggle. Instead, from what I'm hearing tonight, you abandoned her when she needed you most. And now you're trying to take credit for her success and steal her inheritance. That's not family. That's exploitation. My father's face had turned beet red with anger and embarrassment. You have no right to judge our family decisions. You don't know the full story. Then enlighten us, Dr. Gregory said quietly. Everyone turned to him. I'd very much like to hear your version of events, because right now, what I'm hearing paints a very troubling picture. The crowd had grown larger. People were whispering. Phones were out. My parents' image was crumbling in real time, and there was nothing they could do. My mother tried one last time. Athena has always been troubled. We tried everything to help her, but she refused our support. When she dropped out, we were devastated. We gave her space, hoping she'd come back to us, but she disappeared. We've been searching for her for years. That's a lie, I said firmly. You told me never to contact you again. You changed your phone numbers. You made it clear I was dead to you. I didn't disappear. You erased me. And the only reason you're upset now is because I showed up and ruined the pretty story you've been telling everyone. Suddenly, Jordan, my business partner, appeared at my elbow. I hadn't even seen him arrive, but his familiar face brought a wave of relief. He must have seen my location when I texted. Everything okay here? Jordan asked, his tone making it clear he knew it wasn't. Jordan, I said gratefully. These are my parents. Parents, this is Jordan, my business partner. We run Athena Design Agency together. Perhaps you'd like to see the portfolio Dad supposedly keeps in his office. Except you can't, because he doesn't actually have one. Because he has no idea what I've been doing for the past 5 years. Jordan pulled out his tablet and opened our agency's website. Athena Design Agency, he said, turning the screen so everyone nearby could see. Founded 3 years ago, currently employs 15 people. Annual revenue last year was just over $2 million, with clients across the country, including several Fortune 500 companies. He swiped through the portfolio, sleek website designs, brand identities, marketing campaigns, all my work, all created without a single cent or ounce of support from my family. This is what Athena built after you threw her out. Jordan continued, his voice calm but cutting. She started with nothing. She slept on couches. She worked 3 jobs while teaching herself advanced design skills. She saved every penny until she could afford her own apartment. Then she freelanced until she had enough clients to start an agency. She did all of this alone. And she's been incredibly successful. My mother stared at the screen, her face unreadable. My father's jaw was clenched so tight I thought it might crack. Cassandra looked like she'd been slapped. $2 million? My father said finally, and I heard the greed in his voice, even through his shock. That's revenue, not profit. Jordan clarified. But yes, the business is quite successful. Athena is one of the most sought-after designers in Nashville, which makes it particularly galling that you've been taking credit for her success while actually trying to steal her inheritance. We weren't stealing, my mother protested weakly. We were simply claiming what was rightfully ours after she abandoned the family. I have a recording that says otherwise, I reminded her. Cassandra was very clear on the phone about the plan to claim I forfeited my trust fund. I'm sure a judge would be very interested to hear it. Professor Howard spoke up again. I think what's most disturbing here is the pattern of behavior. You didn't just kick Athena out when she was vulnerable. You've spent 5 years lying about her, using her success to bolster your own reputation, and now attempting to steal from her. This isn't a misunderstanding or a family disagreement. This is systematic abuse and fraud. Several people in the crowd nodded. Some of my parents' friends looked at them with disgust. Their carefully constructed image was falling apart. Dr. Gregory addressed my parents directly. I've known your family for several years. I've always respected you as colleagues and friends, but what I'm hearing tonight is deeply troubling. If even half of what your daughter says is true, you've behaved abominably. It's all true, I said firmly. Every word. And I can prove it. I have documentation of their cutting me off. I have the recording of Cassandra discussing the trust fund. I have witnesses who can testify to my mental state when they abandoned me. I have 5 years of building a life completely separate from them, with no support or contact. My father tried one last time to regain control. Athena, you're being vindictive. Yes, we made mistakes. Yes, things were said in anger. But we're still your family. We can work through this privately. Now you want to be private? I asked incredulously. After you publicly lied about me all evening? After you gave that touching speech about family bonds and being proud of both your daughters? You don't get to choose when to be public and when to be private based on what's convenient for you. Jordan leaned close and whispered, "The lawyer is here. I called him after you texted. He's waiting outside." I nodded and turned back to my parents. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning you're going to meet with my lawyer. You're going to provide complete documentation of the trust fund my grandmother left me. You're going to sign papers stating you have no claim to that money and will not attempt to interfere with my access to it. And you're going to do it quickly and quietly. And if we refuse? My father challenged. Then I go to every person here tonight and tell them the full story. I said. I play them the recording of Cassandra. I provide them with documentation of everything you've done. I make sure everyone in your social circle, everyone you do business with, everyone who thinks you're upstanding citizens, knows exactly what kind of people you really are. I'll destroy the reputation you care about so much. My mother's face had gone from pale to flushed. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I said coldly. I have nothing to lose. You already took everything from me once. I rebuilt without you. I don't need your money or your approval. But I'll be damned if I let you steal from me and pretend to be proud parents while doing it. Cassandra finally found her voice. This is insane. You show up here after 5 years and threaten us. I didn't threaten you. I corrected. I offered you a choice. Sign over what's rightfully mine, or face the consequences of your actions. It's really quite simple. Jordan checked his watch. The lawyer is waiting, Athena. We should go. Let them think about their options overnight. I looked at my family one last time. My mother was crying now, careful tears that didn't ruin her makeup. My father looked furious, but trapped. Cassandra just looked stunned. Her perfect graduation party had turned into a public spectacle. Congratulations on your graduation, Cassandra, I said. I hope it was everything you dreamed of. Then I turned and walked toward the exit, Jordan beside me, leaving my family standing in the middle of their horrified guests. The lawyer, Marcus, was waiting in the lobby. Sharp-eyed professional. Jordan had worked with him before and trusted him completely. Athena. Marcus greeted me with a firm handshake. Jordan filled me in on the basics. This is quite a situation. That's one way to put it, I said, still shaking from the confrontation. We moved to a quiet corner, and Marcus pulled out a legal pad. I told him everything, the disowning, the lies, the overheard phone conversation, the recording. Do you have documentation of the trust fund? He asked. I have copies of the original documents my grandmother's lawyer sent me years ago, I said. I never accessed the money because I wanted to prove I could make it on my own, but I kept all the paperwork. Marcus nodded approvingly. Good. That'll help. And you have this recording? I played it for him. Cassandra's voice came through clearly. When it finished, he looked up. This is excellent evidence of intent to defraud. Combined with their public lies tonight and witness testimony about their treatment of you, we have a strong case. What happens now? I asked. Now we move quickly, Marcus said. Tomorrow morning I'll send a formal letter to your parents demanding a meeting. I'll outline what we know and what we're prepared to do if they don't cooperate. Given that their reputation is clearly important to them, and that several respected people witnessed tonight's confrontation, I believe they'll agree to our terms. Your grandmothers will have no conditions about education or contact. The money is yours. Any attempt to claim otherwise is fraud. They know this, which is why they were planning to do it quietly. Relief washed over me. So I can actually get the money? You can and you will, Marcus confirmed. But Athena, what do you want beyond the money? Do you want to pursue criminal charges? Sue for emotional damages? Go public with their treatment of you? I considered this. Part of me wanted to burn their lives to the ground. But another part just wanted to be free. I want my money, I said finally. I want them to sign legal documents stating they have no claim to it, and will never contact me again. And I want them to stop lying about me. They don't get to use my success to make themselves look good anymore. Marcus nodded. That's reasonable and achievable. I'll draw up the documents tonight. Jordan put his hand on my shoulder. You did good in there. I know that couldn't have been easy. It was terrifying, I admitted, but also necessary. I've been running from them for 5 years. Tonight I finally stopped running. We spent another 30 minutes with Marcus. By the time we finished, it was nearly 10 p.m. As if reading my mind, Jordan's phone buzzed. He showed it to me, a text from Professor Howard. Just wanted you to know that several people came up to me after you left asking about your agency. I gave them your contact information. I think tonight might end up being good for business. I had to laugh. My family's attempt to maintain their perfect image had backfired spectacularly. Not only had I exposed their lies, but I'd also potentially gained new clients. Come on, Jordan said. Let's get you home. You've had enough drama for one night. He drove me back to my apartment. As I unlocked the door, the familiar space felt like a sanctuary. Thank you for coming tonight, I told Jordan. I don't know what I would have done without you. That's what partners are for. He smiled. Besides, I wouldn't have missed seeing you take down your terrible family for anything. It was epic. After Jordan left, I changed into comfortable clothes, made tea, and sat on my couch. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every comfort in this apartment had been earned through my own hard work. My family had given me nothing, and I owed them nothing. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. Dr. Gregory. After tonight's revelations, I want you to know that my offer for the medical school project still stands. In fact, I'm more impressed than ever by what you've accomplished. Let's schedule that meeting for next week. You've earned this opportunity. I smiled and typed a response. The meeting with my parents and their lawyer happened 3 days later in Marcus's office. The tension in the room was palpable. Their lawyer, Donald, tried to take control. My clients are willing to discuss a settlement regarding the trust fund, but they want assurances that this matter will remain private. Marcus didn't flinch. Your clients attempted to defraud my client out of money that legally belongs to her. They have no leverage here. We're not negotiating. We're informing them of what will happen. He slid copies of documents across the table. These are the terms. First, you will provide complete access to the trust fund established by Athena's grandmother. Second, you will sign a legal document stating you have no claim to that money now or ever. Third, you will cease all contact with Athena unless she initiates it. Fourth, you will immediately stop using her name, her success, or any reference to her in your social or professional circles. My father started to speak, but Marcus held up his hand. I'm not finished. If you fail to comply with any of these terms, we will pursue criminal fraud charges. We will also provide copies of the recording and witness statements from the graduation party to your colleagues, friends, and business associates. The choice is yours. Donald looked at the documents, then at my parents. My mother was crying again, real tears this time. My father looked defeated. Cassandra stared at the table. This is extortion, Donald said weakly. No, Marcus corrected. This is justice. Your clients can sign these papers and move on with their lives, minus the money they tried to steal and the daughter they tried to exploit, or they can refuse, and we'll make sure everyone knows exactly what they did. Their reputation will be destroyed, and they'll still lose the trust fund case in court. This way, at least they can maintain some dignity. A long silence. Finally, my father spoke. How much is in the trust fund? That's none of your concern anymore, Marcus said. But for the record, it's enough that Athena will be quite comfortable. More than comfortable, actually. My mother looked at me then, truly looked at me. How can you do this to your own family? You stopped being my family 5 years ago when you threw me out. I met her gaze steadily. I'm just making sure you can't hurt me anymore. We made mistakes, she said desperately. But we're still your parents. Doesn't that mean anything? It used to, I said quietly. It used to mean everything. But you taught me that love is conditional. That I'm only worth caring about if I meet your standards. That my pain and struggles don't matter if they're inconvenient for you. You taught me those lessons very well. Cassandra finally spoke, her voice small. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things on the phone. You're not sorry you said them, I corrected. You're sorry I heard them and recorded them. There's a difference. Marcus tapped the documents. We need an answer. Sign, or we proceed with public disclosure and legal action. Donald whispered something to my parents. They had a brief, heated discussion. Finally, my father picked up the pen. This isn't over, he said as he signed. Yes, it is, I replied. This is exactly as over as it gets. One by one they signed. My mother, my father, even Cassandra. Each signature felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. When it was done, Marcus collected the papers. You'll receive notification when the trust fund transfer is complete. I expect that will happen within the week. My parents stood to leave. My mother paused at the door, looking back one last time. I hope you'll be happy, she said. And for a moment, she almost sounded sincere. I already am, I said. I have been for a while now. I just had to learn to find it without you. They left, and I sat there in the sudden quiet of the conference room. Marcus smiled at me. How do you feel? Free, I said simply. For the first time in my life, I